Let's call the meeting to order. We're going to start with roll call.
Ms. Bex? Ms. Harrell is excused. Ms. Hetland?
Present.
Mr. Jacobson? Ms. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Orcherton? Oh, she said she's excused.
Excused.
Ms. Salmon?
Here?
Ms. Snyder?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Okay. Next, we want to move to approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Did anybody have any questions or changes? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes as they are, say aye. Aye. Okay. Let's see, changes to the agenda. We will not be having the grant presentations for COOP or for Imbibe today. Also, well, let's see. Yeah, that's the only changes. So, okay, we're going to start then with the staff report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm presenting your March staff report about the activities of the Arts and Culture Program. First and foremost, today, of course, is a big day for approving the grants in all tiers 1, 2, and 3 categories, as well as arts in the schools. So I will note that we will be going over those in depth later. But this 2019 cycle of the Urbana Arts Grants Program was a kind of record-breaking one of a certain kind. We did have one other year, I think it was the first year we did the Arts Grant Program. We had a broader interpretation of the arts grants at the time, as I understand it, as well. But we had, I think, 70-some applications, like 73. We had about 60 this year. So we had a pretty record-breaking year for grants. Now, we also had a shift in the categories. So we moved to tier 1, 2, and 3 being small, mid-size, and large grants, and arts in the schools being now put on the same cycle, as well as introducing a poet laureate program. Pending the Commission's final approval of Tier 3 grants, notifications to awardees will be sent out by the end of this week. Grantees will be required to attend an orientation. This will be a new requirement this year, prior to signing grant contracts or receiving their initial check. And I also want to note that the Poet Laureate jury has been delayed just a little bit, so that will not be part of today's discussion. We'll be announcing that at the April meeting. So I also want to make mention of the Sneak Peek celebration. This is now our annual celebration of arts grant awardees. In your notes, it was listed as sort of TBD, but since we've already confirmed the details of that, so if you'd like to make a note, we do encourage all arts commissioners and the public to attend. So that'll be April 16th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Blackbird in downtown Urbana. And it will feature a showcasing of all the grantees and their work, as well as a live band and hors d'oeuvres. So please plan to attend that. It's free and open to the public.
What were the times again? Sorry.
Excuse me?
What were the times again?
5:30 to 7:30 on April 16th, which is a Tuesday.
Okay.
Next up, I'll just talk briefly about Open Scene Open Mic. The Urbana Arts and Culture Program partners with the Independent Media Center to offer Open Scene Open Mic as a multi-generational open mic series that aims to center the voices of artists of color and draw a wide array of participants in downtown Urbana. We welcome poetry, music, storytelling, song, dance, anything you can think of. Our most recent one took place this past Friday on March 8th at the Red Herring, and it was a partnership with a student organization called Floor Poetry. Featured a lot of poetry at that event in particular. The next ones have kind of not yet been 100% solidified, and part of that is that our partner organization is going through some growing pains at the moment. So this is a great time if you support the Independent Media Center to get involved, to rent the space, and to really help support that organization, because there's a little bit of a growing pain at the moment financially there. And so we're working with them continually, but looking for also new ways to support Open Scene Open Mic. I also want to mention that our next Art Now, which is our mini documentary series about local artists, I'm proud to announce will feature the 10th anniversary of the Eric Show. And those of you unfamiliar with the Eric Show, it's it's sponsored by 40 North with support from the Alina Union Board, Alina Union Gallery. And the Eric Show was conceived of exactly 10 years ago, but part of the history of the Eric Show was that it was really commemorating a student from our area who was killed in a car crash right before he was going to be going off to art school. And this really was a show that aimed to kind of give back in his memory about elevating high school artists and helping them think about the arts as a possible career path for them. So this very special episode of Art Now will feature both staff from 40 North, local teachers and students who've participated in the art show that'll help also tell the history of the art show itself. It was founded by Eric's father, Dale, who unfortunately passed away this past year, but it will kind of be in both of their memory to have this 10th anniversary feature, so I'm really excited about that. This will run through mid-March until the end of March. Next, I want to mention, currently on display when you head out of the doors of council chambers, is Hard to Place by Natalie Pavoni. This is the artwork on display. Natalie's work is oil paintings of buildings in the city of Urbana and other unique places, and they are, in fact, hard to place. So that's the goal, is to kind of see and identify the varied places in her paintings and try to decide if you've seen them before. This exhibit, again, will be up through the end of March and will culminate on March 22nd with an artist talk at the Urbana Free Library that's designed to be for all ages. So if you have little ones, you can bring them out to that event as well. I also want to mention that the next Artists of the Corridor exhibit will feature works by staff at the City of Urbana and the Urbana Free Library. It's called After Hours, and it is a special exhibition of art kind of created by artists on staff at the City of Urbana and the Urbana Free Library. It'll be a multimedia exhibition, and one thing that I'm excited is it will be in conjunction with Boneyard Arts Festival, and we will have in this very room, we will transform the space and have a reception and talent showcase from people on staff who also are musicians or dancers or performers. So that'll be a unique experience to see your public servants in a whole new light, and I hope you come out.
Can we watch on a live feed? Will there be a live feed?
Oh, goodness, I haven't considered that. Most things in this room are televised, so who knows? But that will be Friday, April 5th, and we encourage everyone to come out and partake in that as well. It will be, again, free and open to the public. I also want to mention Art in the Square. It's our collaboration with the Urbana Business Association to offer 10 a.m. mid-morning concerts at the Market in the Square. The most recent one featured Melvin Knight, a soul and R&B singer, and the next one on this upcoming Saturday, March 16th, features Portmore traditional Irish music in honor of St. Patrick's Day. Excuse my voice, I'm like really struggling with being kind of half sick. But I want to also mention that it's actually part of a whole weekend of festivities sponsored in part by the City of Urbana of St. Patty's Day celebrations going on. So following the Portmore performance, we will also have Shamrock Irish Dance Academy out of, I think it's Monticello. I'm going to mix that up, I'm sorry. Shamrock Dance Academy will be there, and they will be doing an Irish dance performance following this show at Market in the Square. And we also have the world's shortest St. Patty's Day Parade, which happens between Broadway and Race on Main Street. It literally is like 30 seconds long. It's not that long. It's a little bit longer than that, but it is very, very entertaining. It's sponsored in part by Mix radio station, and it will feature a wide variety of community groups, so we encourage you to come out for that, and that's on Sunday. It begins at 2:45, and it's followed, it has a pre-party from 1 to 3 p.m. at Sip Yard. I also just will mention that the last Market in the Square concert will feature the Hobnob String Band, and that is set for April, particularly April 13th. And then we begin the market, Art at the Market as part of the outdoor market. So Art at the Market has traditionally been a partnership with the Urbana's Market at the Square, the outdoor farmers market. We offer, and as related to that, mid-morning concerts, but also arts workshops. And so we have the concert take place, and we have local artists and arts groups come in and give a workshop on a wide variety of things like screen printing and veggie stamping, and all kinds of things have been a part of art at the market. This year, we're excited to announce a new initiative called the North Row Arts Market. So the farmers market is having a slight adjustment to its layout that is making a programmatic end of the market. That will actually accompany lots of programmatic things that have always happened at the market, but kind of give them a spot to exist. And so as part of the Arts at the Market programming, we will also particularly be featuring artists and artisans that are actually having booths right next to us. So we're doing a specific promotion of artists and artisans having booths on those second Saturdays of the month, but particularly 4 months, so May, June, July, and September. Now, the oddity of having a couple months skipped in there, and I'm talking about August and October, is that those are going to be special events. So as they're detailed in your staff report, those will be August State falls on National Farmers Market Week. So instead of having the North Row Arts Market, we'll have a wide variety of community organizations celebrating National Farmers Market Week with us. And then if you recall from this past season, we did Market at the Scare, which has existed for a while at the City of Urbana as a kind of Halloween fall themed farmers market where people can dress up and experience a wide variety of community organization hands-on activities and games, and so all of that will be in that location as well. So this will be at the north end of the market as opposed to on Walnut Street where it has previously existed, and will continue to have concerts. So I see some of you like dreaming, thinking of what it might look like. I'm excited to have this, and I hope you come out and support that as well. Again, I mentioned National Farmers Market Week, and last year our Market at the Scare event really had a wide variety of things going on, so I'm hoping to make it bigger and better than ever. One of the things we noticed was a lot of people came to Market at the Square, and there was kind of a congesting of people around Walnut Street, but we really want them in the market, trick-or-treating, seeing vendors, shopping, of course. So one of the things that we're doing is kind of moving those activities within the market in different kind of key locations to encourage people to be walking around. Young Artist Studio continues as a kind of arts engagement event, arts education at the Urbana Free Library. The next one that we have coming up is finger knitting with Ashley Price, and they're going to be finger knitting snakes, as you see here, complete with googly eyes and felt tongues. So come out for that. And then the following one after that is Madhubani art, which is a traditional Indian art form led by Shraddha Tiwari, and will also be featured as part of our April Young Artist Studio series. I also want to mention that while our sculpture project is, and as far as the project itself, pretty wrapped up, I've been mentioning here in meetings that we've been in talks with the Illinois Marathon about what we're doing with the sculpture. So I did meet again yesterday with marathon folks, and we put races right on Race Street, as you recall, and it actually is on the marathon route with the runners pointing in the direction where people run for the route. The route is within the second kind of quadrant of the race for any of you runners that participate in the race. And so very early morning on the morning of the race, we'll have a bunch of runners running by, and it's going to be a great opportunity for photo for us to be having kind of some snacks and some water for anyone who needs to stop and have that. There will also just be people gathered around. So the marathon had a number of ideas of how to highlight the sculpture. They're going to be doing a live Facebook Live kind of episode all about the sculpture, kind of approaching the race. And we're checking with Bobby Joe Schrimner, who had expressed an interest in actually coming down for the marathon, how he feels about the runners potentially being decorated like Alma Mater gets decorated with runner things. So that'll be, of course, left up to the sculptor, whether he wants that or not. But we're excited to kind of have that moving forward, and I'll have a report on that when we meet together in April.
Could you remind me what the date is?
Yeah, so this is the
The
second
end?
weekend of April.
Second weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I just want to say I get emails from the marathon, and
It was featured.
it was
in the
featured in
email.
it. Yeah,
Mhm.
big shout out.
Unfortunately, this picture they wanted to include in the email, but they didn't have it. It wasn't passed to the right staff person or something on time. So they will feature it in an upcoming newsletter as well with this image with Bobby Joe. But it was featured, and it will have kind of a social media blast and, like I said, some sort of Facebook Live video with the organizer of the marathon. Also, I'm excited to announce, as we've been discussing, we have both sort of 40 North, the Park District, Urbana Business Association, and the Arts and Culture Program coming together on a downtown series on Saturdays, 4 Saturdays in the summer. And so this is called Urbana's Downtown Get Down, and it will be on Main Street and feature a kids zone with inflatables and activities. And the zone is actually going to be staffed by the Park District, so they will be actually offering childcare to kids 5 and up. You can sign your child in, and there'll be kind of a sequestered area of the entire event where kids can partake in a bunch of activities and the inflatables with the supervision and childcare provided through Park District staff. Then there will be an arts market as kind of in the middle of the street, and then a stage and likely potentially beer garden and some other things on the other end of the street. So we're really excited about how this is coming together. Beginning to talk more with for sponsorships and business partners and looking towards that. So that's a real exciting development for us. We're in the process of booking who will be playing, and each Saturday will feature a DJ and a live musical performance later in the evening. It's 5 to 8 p.m., so it's early evening. And the other thing that I'll mention is that it will feature so I mentioned inflatables, kids zone, arts street market, and then we'll have also live demos from artists, and then we have 2 roaming performing artists with each one, so that there'll be one kind of more towards the kids zone. Examples of that could be like Magic or the Bubble Guy, Joyful Bubbles, or things like that that would be kind of more in the kids zone side of things, and then we'll have a roaming artist that would be kind of more towards the stage, and that would be a performance. So we're including things like someone leading soul line dancing or things of that nature. But if you have excitement to join the kind of planning of this in particular as a commissioner, I'd love to have you involved and bring you in on that. So let me know if you're interested. We're always looking for volunteers. And just to mention, so this begins May 25th. August 24th is Sweet Corn Festival. So the way it will work is that we are essentially adding another stage to Sweet Corn Festival in partnership with Urbana Business Association. And it will be like the Urbana Downtown Get Down stage. So that's still kind of taking shape as far as how that will look, because it will be different than the whole setup of the other 3 days. So we'll be talking more about that as the date approaches. Our Boneyard Arts Festival is, of course, a major focus right now. April 4th through 7th, so first weekend this year, is Boneyard Arts Festival, presented by 40 North, but there are committees, and our staff sit on those committees as well. So we are on the Urbana side of the committee, really working to get venues and artists partnered. I'm happy to report we have like a lot of participation from our local businesses and venues, but we're always looking for more venues in Urbana and more artists to participate. The deadline is March 15th, so this Friday. Folks still have an opportunity to express an interest if you're a local artist seeking to exhibit or perform work, or if you're somebody who is responsible for a venue that would like to open itself up to artists. And I am one of the people that folks can get in touch with if they want to talk more about that. I did include a link to the registration in your staff report that is posted online. And again, for our contributions, one of which I already mentioned is the After Hours art exhibit. We'll have a reception. So Urbana's days are April 5th and 6th, the Friday, Saturday. It used to be that, I think a few years back, that Boneyard had like one day is Urbana, one day is Champaign.
Yeah, that's right.
And a few years ago, it went to a different direction
Right.
where Urbana and Champaign are Friday, Saturday, both days,
Right.
both cities.
Right.
So for us, we're going to be having our arts reception on Friday evening, and it's the opening of the After Hours exhibit. And then we'll also on Saturday have our traditional Urbana Celebrates the Boneyard event, and this will be at Boneyard Creek Crossing. It will include musical and dance performances, including a DJing from Dance Music Therapy, puppetry, a bubble display, as well as magic and flow arts, face painting, art stations, and food trucks down in that area. So we will do a partial closure of the street, that area, and just have a lot of things for parents and kids to do together. So that's our contribution to Boneyard that this year. It is going to be from 12 to 4 p.m., and we would love to have commissioners come and help run an art station there. So you would have kind of a craft to do or an activity to run, whether it's a game or a craft with kids who are there. So if that is of interest to you, please see me after the meeting, because I would love to get you signed up to do that. Quick mention about murals on glass, because with April being our meeting for strategic planning, we will be talking about projects like these. But Murals on Glass will open following the arts grants, so pretty soon. And we have identified one of the locations to potentially be the Cunningham Township. And I've worked with the staff to sort of measure the windows, see that it would work quite well. We've had some other sites in the past come up, and there's a list that we have, but sometimes it's really comes down to like cost and the size of windows and all these sorts of things. So that's looking at like a very promising site for this year's Murals on Glass. But I also wanted to mention that this might be an opportunity to look at our budget for Murals on Glass and think about whether we would like to encourage other kinds of things to come out. So I'd love, for instance, to talk with you about ideas around things like a utility box wrap art project, or murals, like hand-painted murals, or other things that we could do with that money that has been designated to support murals in the downtown area of some kind. We have it kind of currently slated as Murals on Glass with this adhesive vinyl project, but there's ways that we can probably be creative and invite some other ideas. So for instance, in years past, we've done between like 2 and 3 venues for Murals on Glass. And if we go with one venue, that might, for instance, free up monies to do another kind of project with that funding, if that's of interest to the commission and something that you would be excited about. So we can talk about things like that with in our strategic planning meeting. My hope is to actually present to you some examples of what we see at some other cities that run arts programs, and things that we might want to consider for ours as possible public art projects that could happen with this funding. But Murals on Glass itself will have an application open likely in May. I also mentioned to you just some recent different outreach events. So I was featured as a judge on Poetry Out Loud's regional competition. That was a real exciting opportunity to represent the arts program in that capacity. This is run again by Champaign County Arts Council 40 North. This is the sort of local competition, the regional competition that then sends students to the state competition. And so Nico, who is here in the white shirt on the end with the shorter hair, was the winner, and we had a runner-up who's the taller gentleman right next to her. Those two got sent to state, and so that's really exciting. But this is all the participants that signed up, as well as judges, and we were excited to have that. I just want to read a little bit about Poetry Out Loud because it's so exciting. But it is it's a national poetry competition that has these varied competitions that end up sending someone to the national. They learn about great poetry through memorization and recitation. The program helps students master public speaking skills, build self-confidence, and learn about literary history and contemporary life. Since 2005, it has grown to reach more than 3.6 million students and 55,000 teachers from 14,000 schools in every state, Washington, D.C., and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So what's exciting about this is our area schools, Urbana and Champaign schools, and some of the surrounding areas participate in this. And that's a really exciting, I think, opportunity for the arts program to also have a presence there. I also just wanted to mention that, as usual, we're always looking for volunteer support, but I also have 2 exciting kind of emerging things about volunteering. The first is that we have been a designated site through the Community Learning Lab, as I've mentioned in the past, but we've finally been paired with a class for that. So soon we will have a class of students that are working specifically with the Arts and Culture program. And we also have well, we've been identified in that way as a site for the Community Learning Lab in general. So students who sign up through the School of Social Work's lab, and it's not just for social work students, so it's actually brought into the entire campus, they can find the Urbana Arts and Culture program as a site to sign up for an internship or some sort of placement for time. And it's eligible for things like class credit. I do continue to work to establish a practicum course with our program, because I really would love to see the opportunity to create a practicum course. This was something I had success with doing in my previous position, and I'd love to be able to partner with one of our U of I departments to get students completing a practicum for class credits and in exchange for their work. So that I continue to work on. But in general, we're going to be kind of working to build the volunteer program as we head into the summer with the different programs that we have approaching. And that is the end.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
Are there any questions?
Do you have any spare time?
You've been busy, girl.
Been busy. Thank you.
Okay, I assume you still want to go ahead with...
Actually, I'm staying, aren't I? We're going straight into the other...
Do you,
Yeah,
that was
I
my
can.
question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You might want to, I don't mean to make you all wait too long, but we do need quorum for a couple of votes, and we have somebody who needs to leave. Yep. Okay, we still have quorum right now, though,
Right
don't we?
now, yeah.
Right now. So now it's really
Right.
important that we do it quicker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sarah, what
before
time do you
Sarah
need to
leaves.
leave? Okay. Okay,
Okay.
let's see what we can get
Fast
through.
forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
If I had known
effectively
we
what
were-
we'd be doing
yeah.
is moving
We should have changed
the
it at the
discussion
beginning.
of grants
yeah.
before, before the grant presentations.
Okay, do I just need to state that, or? It needs to be a motion, okay. I'm moving that we move the discussion of the Urbana Arts Grant Program, or is it just the Tier 3 you want to talk about right now?
We have to do both, I think.
We have to do both, you're right. Okay, the discussion of all tiers.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the only one that requires action by the commission is approval of tier 3. So if we
Oh,
don't-
it is?
That's,
We don't need to approve tiers 1, 2, and 3 anymore, or 2
just-
anymore?
Just tier 3 is the.
Oh,
one
okay.
that
okay.
The commission was given authority under the council. Only tier 3 was given authority by the city council for the Arts Commission to vote on for grants of 5,000 and above.
Oh,
I
okay.
see, okay.
So if we only have 15 minutes of quorum, I'd
Then we're
highly
just going with
recommend
tier
That one first.
prioritizing just tier 3.
Right.
Okay, and then what we can do is go into grant applications and then come back to this last.
Right. Okay. First of all, have to move that we are moving this now. We're going to talk about the order of the agenda is now. We'll look at the approval of the 2019 Tier 3 Urbana Arts Grants. We will then look at, is that, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
And then we'll have some grant presentations, and then we will have the discussion of Tier 1 and 2 grants. And I make that as a motion.
I'll second
She just seconded it?
Mhm.
Okay. Do we need to do anything else?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead with the Tier 3.
Okay, so you were presented a memo on the Tier 3 arts grants. Just to kind of reiterate what is here, the Urbana Arts and Culture Commission's grant program, again, offers artists and artistic groups supportive funding towards creative projects taking place within the city of Urbana. In this 2019 cycle, up to $80,000 is available. The Tier 3 grant category, newly designed this cycle, supports special events and festivals in the city of Urbana, offering between $5,000 and $10,000 in financial support. You reviewed 4 applications this cycle, received corresponding presentations from each applicant in a special meeting. The next step is for the Arts and Culture Commission to make a funding determination. So the commission has 3 options here. You can approve to recommend the Tier 3 Urbana Arts grants as they're stated below. Approve the recommendation of Tier 3 Urbana Arts grants with some revisions or amendments, or deny the recommendation of Tier 3 Urbana Arts grants. You can take these one at a time, each grant application at a time, or you can vote all at once. Of course, the recommendation from our staff is for the commission to approve the arts grants as they appear here. So just to go over, has there been recommended for funding? We have the 2019 Urbana Sweet Corn Festival presented by Urbana Business Association, and the funding recommendation is $10,000. The Boneyard Arts Festival 2019 presented by 40 North 88 West. The funding recommendation is $6,000. We have a 2019 Champaign-Urbana Folk and Roots Festival presented by Champaign-Urbana Folk and Roots. The funding recommendation is $9,050. And Pygmalion Festival presented by Fine Burns Bersoni, Inc. Funding recommendation is $9,950. So this, again, was a recommendation put together from the scoring sheets that came from you all as individual scorers and commissioners into a recommendation.
Okay. Does anyone want to talk about any of these individual?
I only had a question.
Go ahead.
Just because I've not been on these panels before. I guess I either wasn't asked or I knew too many people that were applying. I'm not sure, but I thought maybe there would be more group discussion after we put in our, send in our impressions or our responses before it came. This kind of accelerated pretty fast. I thought there would be more individual discussion before it went public.
This is your
Well, this is your
opportunity for
this is our
discussion.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you want to say anything?
Well, I just had some, maybe just personal feelings that some of the I voted in a different way for some of the groups that were more community-oriented and volunteer-oriented and more downtown or literally downtown Urbana activities. I don't know if anybody had that impression or that thought, but I didn't know it was kind of going to come to a head so fast without some group discussion.
This is the group discussion, so you're
I
totally
know,
welcome
I
to have
get it, I heard
Yeah.
that, I heard it. I thought
Yeah,
there
yeah.
would be more before this.
Well, I'll discuss. Actually, I guess I wasn't necessarily surprised at how the funding decisions came down, but just personally, to be frank, I did find it sticking in my throat. I realize that Pygmalion Fest does have a beneficial financial impact on the community. Nonetheless, they're a for-profit organization. It's run by 3 people, and there's no public input on the acts that they bring in. And they were kind of clear that this is our job, so this is what we do. And I don't know if they felt like there were any room for some sort of public input on that. It just struck me as, let me see how to say, I found it striking that government monies were going into the pockets of a for-profit organization when there are organizations, nonprofits, organizations that are run almost completely by volunteers that could use that money. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just to, I guess, play devil's advocate a little bit, all other people that applied for that tier are nonprofits and they were funded fully according to this recommendation, and then that one was the only one that didn't get their full recommendation. So it feels like
That was only
that was
$50 difference,
that was
though.
the available funding though. That's what we had to give, and
Right.
these are the people that applied.
So
Right.
just to be clear, one thing that that we cannot do is you cannot fund organizations for more than what they asked. And we can't fund organizations for
Okay.
less than 50% of what they asked. That was a rule we introduced, as you might remember, this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that also governs some of the decision-making. But I also, like I said, I took all of the recommendations and had to synthesize, and they were all a little different. So, you know, it really depended.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note that Tier 3 ended up being less competitive than we expected it
Yeah.
to be, but
Right.
that was not something we could control. However, the structure we've put in place will serve us in future years if, in fact, we would expect it to become more competitive over time. All of the art tiers, we don't show a direct favor towards for-profit or not-for-profit organizations that apply. That's up to and including the individual artists who are, if you're just performing as a person, you are in essence a for-profit business. So that's something that carries through all of our grants, that there is a practice of funding for-profit businesses, and in Pygmalion's case specifically, it's received funding multiple times from the city through a different process, which was direct council approval up to this point. So just to be clear of what the past practice has been, that's not to say that the commission cannot take that into consideration in its decision, or that we can't address that in future cycles in terms of how it's structured.
Okay.
Is there other discussion?
Yeah,
Could you
go
talk
ahead.
about how you arrived at this decision? Like, what was your process? Like, what factors did you consider and stuff?
Yeah, so what I did first was I took an average, and then I also had to adjust that average based on the fact that some folks filled it out, maybe not adhering to those rules of like we can't fund something at less than 50% if we were going to fund it at all. and we can't give money beyond what people were asking for, especially beyond the maximum available funding
Right.
in the category. So with those things in mind, I had to come up with a recommendation with the support of staff, and we went through those numbers very diligently to kind of come up with something that reflected both the recommendations and the feelings and the feedback of the commission as well. So like which ones tended to be asked to be, or by the commission, were the ones that you were more likely to underfund, and what are the things that you were more likely to overfund. But as Brandon indicated, there was virtually no competition in this category this year.
Right.
And I truly imagine that that will change in future years. I just do. And if you recall, we also had a couple of applications that, by the way that the applications were written, had to be routed to a different category. Had they remained, there might have been some different competition as well.
Any other discussion? I think I would like to move to approve the recommendation of Tier 3 Urbana Arts Grants
I second.
as is. Second it? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Is there any opposed?
There's one opposed.
Well,
Okay.
Did you note that,
but
Zakia?
I'd like to recommend in the future, we do consider a different way of processing.
Would you like to share more about that?
No, we already had that discussion, but just for future, I think I'm more interested in supporting the community-based and not-for-profit groups
Mm-hmm.
in general in their applications. Just because I see the amount of work that the community people do and the amount of people that they bring to downtown Urbana, because that's what we originally started this fund for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only concern.
Right, although it is true that the for-profit is also bringing people.
They are, but it's basically one location and it's one time part of the year, whereas these other groups are having ongoing activities through
Well,
the city
Sweet Corn
through the
doesn't.
year. Well, but some of the other groups do. So,
Yeah.
and they encourage a lot more community involvement. That's
Yeah, that's
what I
certainly
like
true.
to see.
Yeah.
I think the real thing to do as we go forward with all of our grants is to continue to encourage people to apply in every capacity. You know, the groups that you do see giving back to the community in various ways, absolutely. I also encourage all of the grantees, whether they are funded or not, listen, everybody in the room, and people listening on TV who applied, ask for feedback. It's really important. Both the commission and our juries gave some really useful feedback, and I think that those are some things that will help applications going forward.
Just for clarity for the record, I'd like the commissioners just to confirm that the votes in favor were Jones, Snyder, and Salmon, and the votes in opposition were Bex and Headland. Is that correct? Okay. It's just just want to make sure that's clear for the record.
Does that
I
pass
thought you were
then?
going to explain something else.
Can we amend any of the amounts?
Yeah. You can make an amendment, but did that just pass?
I mean, the motion that was made was to
Right,
to
to approve
all
it
of
as
them
is.
as
But we
presented.
still had a point of question. We had a discussion, so I don't know if it was final. Was it?
Yeah.
If there's a feeling that there's a lack of clarity on this, that's why I wanted to revisit that.
Yeah.
The motion that was made and seconded and then voted upon, and with the votes, just as I read them, was for the full approval of the grants as presented.
Right, and I'm
So-
sorry if I jumped the gun on that.
Yeah.
I just had the feeling that, on the whole, people were in approval, but,
Right, so the commission has made that vote now
Okay.
as a body, so unless there's a desire to reconsider that vote at this point, and, based on the outcome, is there anyone who voted in favor who wants to reconsider the vote, I think? Otherwise, we should probably move on in the interest of time as well.
Yeah,
But it's
so
not
that's fine,
to say that there can't be discussions about how this is structured in the future.
Well, we can do that part at further discussion at another meeting if we need
Yeah.
to. We do have guests.
Starting
too.
with the visioning and, the annual visioning meeting next week.
Mhm, yeah.
Or, no, sorry, next month, next meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
next month.
It's like, what?
Some eyes popped out of heads. It's up to you. So does that motion stand, or?
Do you want to change it?
I don't.
Let it ride.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that one passes, and I can move right into grant reports then, and I'll come back up to talk about tiers 1 and 2 afterwards.
Okay, the first,
Hello.
is this Madeline?
Yes, I am
Okay,
Madeline
this is Madeline
Wolski,
Wolski from
and I am
Champaign
with.
Ladies
I have
Amateur
been
Wrestling.
signed out. Let me sign back in. Yes, from Champaign Ladies Amateur Wrestling. Don't save that. Okay. So, Champaign Ladies Wrestling was started in 2015 by some local Champagners. Has been moved to Urbana, but claw sounds better than ooh-la. The purpose of this was just to have a way for women to perform, be comedic, be strong into the community. And the group itself has really moved towards being social advocates. And we do that by putting on exciting shows with grants and with other help from the community by making them free and accessible. So we were able to do quite a bit of nice little promos. I'm going to mute it, but before a show, we always try to create some really interesting and engaging material for our audiences and really just push more people out there. And so this is one of our videos where it was this is a training video of the Thigh Master and Punky Bruiser, and it's a great way for people to kind of get to know our characters a little bit more and to get excited about upcoming shows that we have. All right. No. All right. So this was a poster that we had created. So the show itself, we always rearrange them by having at least 3 wrestling acts and then followed by a big musical act. And that's another way that we can get local artists on a stage and involve that within our community. So we had Timbaloo and Bookmobile. And the show itself was, we closed down Griggs Street in Urbana right outside of 25 O'Clock Brewery. And we were able to use a stage from the Champaign Park District. We rented that and had a bunch of lights out. People were enjoying Black Dog on the street. Black Dog came out and had a nice table and were serving stuff up, and they were also bringing stuff over from Bunny's and a lot of other local businesses. So just having that event there, people were engaging in surrounding local businesses and spending some good hard cash. All right, and this was our Facebook group image. We also design and hand out small playbills, which just kind of, again, get people interested in like what's going to happen at this match. So we had 4 matches going on, and we actually, last minute, a wrestler got injured. So Black Metal Patty just landed in and saved the day for one of our wrestling shows. But it was so much fun and really well attended. These are just some pictures from the event itself, and I also attached some in the final folder. But so we ended up having 3 matches and also a really interesting I guess, what is it called? Intermission, where the IU Diva gave us all a wonderful dance experience, and it was so much fun seeing lots of kids and families like dancing along with her in the audience. We also created some trading cards that had lots of really fun like random tidbits about the wrestlers. So again, another way in like that we engaged the audience and kind of were able to also show off what we can do. We know like a local graphic designer who volunteered their skills to us for free, so that was really wonderful for us. So this is just a picture of some of the people that were there. We estimate, like, I'm horrible with numbers, but I'm going to say 200 to 500 because it was exciting. So it was during May's First Fridays. And it was cool because after, I believe, the Urbana Free Library was having a drag queen story time, which was absolutely amazing. Right after that ended, like a huge flush of families just came in, and it was awesome. I don't remember the last time we had such a huge crowd. We really needed to close down Griggs Street, and it was just such a perfect thing. So after our performance, Tim Ballou went on, and this is a link to Imbibe Urbana's. So the crowd lasted the entire night. It wasn't just for our show, but it was also for the Tim Ballou performance right after. And I stopped that presentation. But we managed to get featured on the front page of the News Gazette the next day, which is always exciting when you can see your mom getting slammed by the cornstalker. Those are characters. And it really would not have been possible without the generous funding from the Urbana Arts Grant. We had some unexpected costs of having to procure a sound engineer because Tim Ballou is a band made up of 12 individuals, and I learned that it's always good to make sure that they will bring their own equipment. Sometimes they do not have their own equipment. So it was 2 days before the show I was able to wrangle a sound engineer. And but yeah, it ended up being, yeah, we wouldn't have been able to do it without the funding from Urbana Public Arts Grant. And we're going to be doing this again this year in August. And I think because it was so popular, Tom Sheehan of 25 O'Clock Brewery, he has volunteered to build us a wrestling stage. So that's also exciting because then we won't have to use the Champaign Park District rentable stage. So, and yeah, it was a really, really fun time. Minimal bruising. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yes. Yeah, I do. This looks like so much fun. You had like a really great audience, it looks like. And so this seems like an event that would appeal to like a lot, like a really wide audience, and it would be something cool and something like really different to do in the evening. So I wondered what you're doing to get more representation for the people who are like participating in the wrestling.
For sure. We actually we just had a meeting on Sunday. We really want to make sure that the wrestlers of Claw accurately portray our community. So one of our big pushes is to try and get people who aren't white women involved, people of color. So we've been actively going to other arts events within the Champaign-Urbana area, like Poetry on Tap, other cool things, just to meet people and let them know, like, hey, you seem like a pretty cool person, wanna wrestle? Usually not so blunt. I have to ease into it a little bit more. But also putting on shows for people of all people, because we've normally been confined to bars. So it's only by providing these kind of, we need to have the stage, have it out in a public place where we can get family members to really engage with us. This has been the second time that we've been able to do that, and we did a First Fridays in 2017. So we found this is the best place for us to really get families and young kids invested in Claw. And it's been so amazing to see, like, we have a lot of young girls who are fans, and it's so cool overhearing them arguing, like, who's their favorite. Punky Bruiser is currently the best, apparently. And also, we have interacted with Girls Rock. Have you guys heard of that camp over at the IMC?
Yeah.
We actually went in there on one of their camp days, and we talked to them about being strong. We did some brainstorming categories where they thought about their own wrestling names, and we also showed them some weird moves that they're not going to do at home. So, did that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
go ahead,
Of
Bob.
course.
How did you get involved in it in the first place?
Well, so I'm not one of the originators, but I'm now the owner of the LLC. But my friend Joanna Troutman and Melanie Shekels, I actually worked with Joanna's husband Luke at the co-op in 2014, and they were just the coolest people ever, and I wanted some really cool friends. And they interviewed me, and it's been a match made in heaven since. It's so empowering to talk to people about CLAW, to represent it, and also to get other people excited about inclusive, safe spaces in the community and the cool people who wrestle.
I do have one question for you. The cards that you sold,
Yes.
did we pay for the printing of those?
No.
Okay.
We actually paid for that,
Okay.
but just because with the cost of, because we got half up front, so the stage was $785, the band was $500, and then an additional $600 for the sound engineer. So we actually went into our own funds, and I operate this as a nonprofit. It just makes more sense for us financially and insurance-wise to be an LLC. So all of the money that we got initially, it just went into the stage. And
Yeah,
so
and-
yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have any particular provision against doing that, but I feel a little uncomfortable if you were doing it for profit, that's all.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, first, I apologize for being late. There was somewhere else I had to be until 5. But, so maybe somebody asked, but can you use this wonderful movie, Fighting for My Family, to build popularity for what you do?
I haven't seen the movie. For those unaware, it's a WWE. Yeah. I suppose, although, and I haven't seen it. I think it's more just about like her growing up and stuff. CLAW isn't like WWE. It's we're not. I'm actually not the biggest fan of WWE, especially how they portray women.
Yeah.
There needs to be, and there has been, a fine line with CLAW. You can't have wrestling without stereotypes, but we're not objectifying women, and we're showing strong comedic characters in ways that are funny, but not horrible. So I'm a librarian in the real life, but my character is Dewey Decimator. And I am the worst stereotype of a librarian, but I think that makes it wonderful because kids, they know librarians aren't like me.
Yeah, I saw you go up against Punky Brewster.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that was a really cool thing, too, because there were a lot of kids in the audience, and, I'm a big bully, my character is. And she had a nice little speech about, I stand up to bullies. So.
Yeah, I don't watch WWE either, but I did see the movie, and I don't know, maybe different eyes would see it differently. I didn't see the movie as promoting bad stereotypes.
Oh.
But maybe other people would. I don't know.
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
Okay, I think that's it then. Thank
Great.
you.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you. All right.
Next, we're going to have Claire Happel-Ash talk about the grant Serving the Vitality of the Community.
So thank you for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about my project today. In hearing in the meeting all that the Urbana Public Arts Commission does, it's just, I always love the community of Urbana, and I'm so grateful for the grants that you guys provide. It always seems like it really does serve the community in both Urbana residents and visitors and artists of the community, the people going to the concerts or events and the artists themselves. So my project was to program 2 harp and oboe concerts. I play the harp, and I brought in an oboist friend that I play with, to play some concerts in in this duo. We realized we had a lot of music that was inspired by poetry. So we always find that it makes our performances richer when we do interdisciplinary performances. And so we asked the CU Poetry Group to collaborate with us. So our first concert was at the Brookdale Memory Care in Urbana. And you can kind of see in that picture at the front, there's my big harp and me, and then the oboist, and then on either two sides, the poets from the CU Poetry Group who wrote poems actually read them too, and I'll explain a little bit more about how we structured the concerts. But this is the first one we did. It was, both concerts were on January 27th, and one was in the morning. And then the second concert, I'm sorry that I don't have the poets in this picture, but is at the IMC in the sunroom. So our community partners were the IMC and Brookdale, and I always like partnering with people in the community just because they already have another audience that we can bring to the concerts. And that was the case. You know, at Brookdale, we didn't advertise that to the public. We just went there, and it was residents of Brookdale, and then at the IMC, that was the one that we let the public know about to go to hear the concert. And then the CU Poetry Group, the way that we did it was Jim O'Brien was great to work with, and he seems to organize most of the events with the group, and we programmed all musical works that were inspired by poetry, and then we sent that poetry to the members of the CU Poetry Group who wrote responses to the words. And then in the concert, two members, Will Rager and Jim O'Brien, read the original or the published poetry, and then we played the music that it inspired, and then we had the poets read their responses. So on either side of the music we played, there were these strong images from the poetry that people kind of connected between the music and the text. Yeah, both of the concerts were free. We had a higher turnout than at Brookdale, and as I see her May concert, or her May event of the last group, it was a freezing day. It was like one of those 6-degree days. So yeah, we were glad that by bringing in the CU Poetry Group, we both had people who came for our music and people who came for the poetry, and then at both spaces had people there who were there because they knew of it from the space, from Brookdale or the IMC. The expenses went to, I didn't include on here the IMC, rental at the IMC, bringing the oboist in. I live in Chicago now, so paying for mileage from their programs, and then just the small bit we had left after that, we rehearsed on the day before the concert and then stayed overnight in Urbana for the concerts the next day. We rehearsed with the poets the night before or the day before, and so it paid for those. We marketed the IMC concert with email blasts, social media, and posters, and this is the poster we used for the concert. Yeah, the impact that we felt it had was both that even from the first moment we started rehearsing with the poets, all the artists, 4 of us who participated in the performance of the works, you could tell that it was special right away. It's something that my oboist and I we're gonna use this program in the future because it felt like successful artistic programming. And that's, for us, that's helpful to know that it was something that impacted the audience. Both at Brookdale, it sparked a lot of conversation afterwards, which is always nice with the people there. And then the people who came, both for the poetry and the music, all felt like it was nice to connect with both text and poetry for whatever people are more familiar with or more struck by, or what they typically go to. But so it was great to create new programming, but of course the audiences at Brookdale, it was bringing it to an audience that might not get out for concerts. And then at the IMC, we were trying to create a concert where anyone from the community could go, since it was free, and we were having it in Urbana. We might next time, if we were again, the weather felt like a factor in how many people we got there. And then it's at the IMC, you don't get the walk by from a window, so sometimes, but it was a beautiful space with the sun, and they were great to work with. So the one other output that is going to come from it is, we're hoping to perform these works in a recording in the future. And we'll use the program. We're hoping to do something with the poets in future concerts too, because they really loved it too, creating work for it and being part of it. So, yep, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you guys have questions?
Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
I love having live music behind poetry, and one of the projects of the Urbana Arts Program has been Open Scene, Open Mic.
Okay.
And I just want to encourage, like, as you're collaborating with folks continually in Urbana and working with artists that might also want to collaborate with poets, do consider things like our open mic nights
Okay.
as, like, potential spaces to meet collaborators. And, you know, I know that CU Poetry Group obviously operates Poets at the Post, but Urbana has really just ignited with open mic nights.
Okay.
You know, Open Scene, Open Mic, Soul on Sunday, Poets at the Post, like so many things going on just very regularly in
Yeah.
town. I would love to see more live artists play, and I would be happy to, including like hire a live artist to play with Open Scene, Open Mic on occasion. So
Okay.
that's just something to like share with other musicians that were involved. And to note yourself for like some possibilities for collaboration going forward. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I guess we still need to talk about tiers 1 and 2 on the grants.
I'm gonna open this back up. Okay, I'm really just going to present to you the jury recommendations for tiers 1, 2, and arts in the schools, and I plan to read the whole thing for the benefit of anyone listening. Yes.
Unless you have discussion, would you like someone to read to save your voice?
Oh, that's a great question. Let's see how far I can get, and then
I
I
don't want
might
you
take
to
you up on that if you're offering.
Encourage,
Good thinking.
Barbara is very
Information.
protective of my voice as a musician and someone who cares deeply about
I live
it.
with a singing voice consultant
I mean,
who's
it's
constantly
beneficial to
helping
have you
people
around.
with their
That's why-
careers. And if I hear this, if it's just a matter of reading the text that's in front of it, if we can help you out, just holler, okay?
Okay, will do. Let's see how far I get. So I'm going to present first tiers 1. I will say overall, this represents 29 applications that were funded. And when we count Poet Laureate, which will be announced next month, we'll be funding 30 artists or artistic projects through this program this year. I'm really excited. We had 60 applications, and I'll first present to you the jury recommendations for tier 1. The first one is Celebrando Latinidad by Alicia de Leon. Is the sponsorship of $900 is the recommendation. Celebrando Latinidad is described as a pop-up photo booth intentionally placed at Latinx-owned businesses that invites members of the Latin American community in Urbana to have portraits taken in the tradition of glamour shots and traditional family photos. The project aims to inspire pride, create visibility, and highlight diverse ethnic identities within the city of Urbana. Heartland Maker Fest comes next, presented by Makerspace Urbana. The city sponsorship recommendation is $1,000. The Heartland Maker Fest is a free one-day family-friendly event that celebrates arts, crafts, engineering, science, music, and technology, as well as the DIY spirit of our community, and is held annually at the Urbana Lincoln Square Mall. This highly interactive event features demonstrations, performances, and over 30 maker tables. Number 3 is Mobile Art Cart by Paulina Camacho Valencia, and it is recommended in the amount of $1,000. The Mobile Art Cart is a transportable community art space that can fold up and attach to a bicycle or be easily fitted into a car. The mobile art cart invites community members to engage in a variety of arts workshops, creating conversations about local, national, and global issues. It will travel throughout the city of Urbana, offering lessons in printmaking, bookbinding, collaborative weaving, screen printing, and more. Next is Teen Art at the Library, which was presented by the Urbana Free Library. City sponsorship recommendation is in the amount of $1,000. The Teen Art at the Library project is a series of arts workshops as part of Teen Open Lab at the Urbana Free Library and in collaboration with Urbana High School Art Club. And it will introduce teens to a variety of arts tools, culminating in an exhibition of created works displayed in the Lewis Auditorium downstairs in the library. Writers of Oya by Ashanti Files is another recommended project, city sponsorship in the amount of $750. Writers of Oya is a 4-part workshop and performance series utilizing poetry as a tool of creative self-expression for middle school girls of color. The project will culminate in a Poets at the Park public showcase of works created by participating youth within the workshops. Next is All Score Urbana by Ralph Lewis, a city sponsorship recommendation of $800. All Score Urbana is a music composition workshop series for the whole family that serves local songwriters and composers through composition advice and access to on-site performers. The project culminates in a public performance of works composed by teaching artists. Next, we come to Falling into the Blues, a blues dance mini festival by Blues Central, city sponsorship recommendation of $1,000. Fallen into the Blues Mini Dance Festival will feature lessons, dancing, activities, and live music designed to introduce the art of blues dancing to local residents and visitors. Next up is It's My Body by Emily McCowan, city sponsorship recommendation of $900. It's My Body is a video project consisting of the recording and production of a collaboratively produced music video inviting community participation in celebration of consent and empowerment. The video will be premiered together with a public open mic event hosted in downtown Urbana. Number 9 is 50 Plus Reasons to Love Art by artist Lori Fuller. City sponsorship recommendation is $900. 50 Plus Reasons to Love Art will provide painting instruction and art materials to older adults, 50 plus, in the community with the goal of making art more accessible and enriching to their lives. Lessons will create an environment that promotes social interaction and creative expression, culminating in, again, a public exhibition. Number 10 is the 19th annual Read Across America celebration by Read Across America. The city sponsorship recommendation is $750. This event provides a very exciting atmosphere where storytellers read books to children and model the joy of reading. Storytellers are accomplished authors and storytellers who read their works or relate short stories. They also have booths to continue their presentations and interactions with event visitors. Number 11, Recipes for Healing by Giovanna Di Benedetto. This is a city sponsorship recommendation of $750. Recipes for Healing is a book that will help educate people about abuse and give hope to victims by combining personal stories and poetry from survivors with recipes that tie into their stories. The book will also be printed in a pocket-sized version available for those stuck in a cycle of abuse, but allowing them to easily hide the item and giving them something to let them know they're not alone. 90 Years of the Machine, a theatrical experience by June Clark Eubanks, recommended city sponsorship of $750. 90 Years of the Machine is a live theatrical performance based on the 1928 play Machinal by Sophia Treadwell that illuminates nearly a century of struggles women face in our society. The theatrical performance will be offered free and open to the public in downtown Urbana. Number 13 is The Women Who Painted Project by Paula McCarty, city sponsorship recommendation of $750. Women Who Painted consists of oil or acrylic paintings and prints of digitally painted portraits of historical female painters, opening up a dialogue about their contributions to the history of painting. The project consists of 2 exhibitions, one at the Alina Union Gallery and one at the City of Urbana's Artists of the Corridor. This was planned in conjunction with Women's History Month in March, as well as an artist talk and free painting workshop for youth at Art Coop in downtown Urbana. Number 14 is No More Hiding Creation Myths by Kenneth Bivens, city sponsorship recommendation in the amount of $750. No More Hiding Creation Myths is a series of paintings providing a shift in visual representation of Black men, women, and children from caricatures to superheroes and beyond towards new traditions, paths, and possibilities. The project aims to navigate trauma, oppression, and resilience through comics. Works will be produced on large-scale wood panels and feature a public exhibition in downtown Urbana. That is the end of Tier 1. Can I take a breath? Got any questions so far?
Do you want someone to read?
No, I'm good. I think I'm okay. Tier 2, I'll begin. Number one is Immersion, a multidisciplinary experimental arts festival by Jake Metz. City sponsorship in the recommended amount of $3,200. Immersion is a multidisciplinary experimental arts festival that utilizes technology to create an immersive experience for both artists and attendees. It's scheduled for May 3rd and 4th at the Independent Media Center. It includes educational workshops, live music, performances, installations, and a visual art gallery held within a constructed sound dome. Number two is Champaign-Urbana Jazz Festival by CU Jazz Festival. City sponsorship recommended in the amount of $1,650. The CU Jazz Festival this year celebrates its 5th anniversary and will do so in bringing in new collaborations, complete with a parade and celebration, pop-up shows alongside the traditional festival traditions, which is jam sessions, a jazz brunch, and a plethora of free community events celebrating the history and future of jazz in the city of Urbana. Number three is Dance Music Therapy Music Festivals by Dance Music Therapy. DMT is an array of DJs who utilize therapeutic properties to create music in a safe environment and inspire fun, fellowship, and impact change. DMT Music Festivals will present free monthly music showcases with a variety of guest DJs and artists from May to October at the Lake House at Crystal Lake Park. The city sponsorship recommendation is $2,375. Number four, Magic Lantern 2 by ECA. You may recall Magic Lantern 1 was funded this past cycle, so this is a continuation of that project. The city sponsorship is recommended in the amount of $1,750. The Magic Lantern 2 engages the public and inspire would-be animators and artists to tell their own stories through combining new and old methods of animation. The new series will continue to explore the art of animation, introducing now unconventional materials and methods such as 3D printing and laser cutting. The project will include a public showcase and demonstration as well as educational workshop. Number five is Urbana Pops Orchestra by Urbana Pops Orchestra. City sponsorship in the amount of $2,000 is the recommendation. Urbana Pops Orchestra will consist of 4 free recitals, a full orchestral concert, pit orchestra for Urbana Park District Youth Musical, and on-the-job education for student musicians and mentorship for young orchestral composers. Number 6 is Basiki Culture and Dance Company by the Native American House. City sponsorship recommendation in the amount of $2,500. The Basiki Culture and Dance Company will engage the audience through traditional and contemporary Native American dance and song, guiding participants to a better understanding of indigenous cultures, traditions, resiliency, and revitalization. Apart from song and dance presentations, audience members will be invited to participate in 3 group dances, followed by an educational Q&A with the artists. Number 7 is the community puppet making and mosaic making by the School for Designing Society. City sponsorship recommendation in the amount of $2,000. Community puppet making and mosaic making parties envision puppetry and mosaic making as vehicles for storytelling and healing within the neighborhood surrounding Crystal Lake Park. Positioning the arts as a vehicle for social change, these arts-focused gatherings aim to build community, foster empowerment, and engage historically underserved populations and immigrant families living in the neighborhood. Attendees have free access to all materials and culturally diverse refreshments as they can converge and create. Number 8, Champaign-Urbana Black and African Festival by CU Black and African Arts. City sponsorship in the amount of $3,150. The mission of the Champaign-Urbana Black and African Arts Festival celebrates and highlights both Black and African heritages and cultures through a showcasing of visual arts, music, fashion, entertainment, performing arts, food, and vendors. The goal of the festival is to build bridges between Black and African artists across the diaspora, showcase Black and African arts and cultures, and present the first ever event of its kind in the Central Illinois region. The festival will take place on August 9th and 10th in downtown Urbana. Number 9, Blue Stem Westie Fusion Fest by the CU West Coast Swing Group. City sponsorship in the amount of $1,500. The Blue Stem Westie Fusion Fest is an annual weekend of instruction in social dancing, uniting local dance groups and growing the dance community. It's open to all ages and skills levels and offers 2 days of dance instruction in 3 tracks. 1 is for seasoned West Coast swing dancers, 2 is for fusion and related dances, and 3 is for West Coast swing beginners. This festival aims to be the largest event for West Coast swing in the area. Number 10, Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Heritage Month celebration, otherwise known as Asia Fest, sponsored by the Asian American Cultural Center. City sponsorship in the recommended amount of $2,250. Asia Fest is a family-friendly, interactive, multicultural educational event for those of all ages and backgrounds, showcasing a diversity of local Asian cultures and communities. Asia Fest itself will increase opportunities for residents to engage in the arts in its many forms, including dance, music, visual arts, and interactive cultural and cooking demonstrations. Number 11, the Cinderella Cinderfella Dance Troupe by Royal Bijou. The city sponsorship recommendation is $1,000. Cinderella Cinderfella Dance Troupe is a youth ballroom dance troupe that will learn 3 ballroom dances with a partner over the course of a month and a half, focusing on the basic steps of the waltz, foxtrot, and swing dancing. Following the instructional classes, youth participants will compete in a full production public Cinderella Cinderfella ballroom dance competition. Number 12, experimental theater performance, Laboratory for Young Theater Practitioners by Faye Glassman Performance. City sponsorship recommendation is $2,250. As part of a theatrical production that is funded through a couple of other grants called Folding Time Towards an Origami of the Everyday, Experimental Theater Performance Laboratory will give youth opportunity to work with the professional performing artists for experiences that will encourage their original ideas and expose them to diverse performance forms. This 2-week intensive workshop will take place for the youth at Krannert Center for the Performing Arts, and the informal open studio performances will be presented in various downtown Urbana locations as young theater practitioners compose and perform their pieces. Number 13 is Arts at Play by Coop Adventure Play. City sponsorship recommendation is $1,250. With Arts at Play, Coop activates public space for child-directed free play, providing multi-use materials and a high level of support for creativity and artistic expression to flourish. Coop brings a large amount of raw materials, from paint to cardboard boxes, pipes, ropes, and fabric, and they distribute them in public parks throughout the city of Urbana for creative play with the support of Play Worker. Arts at Play will provide the majority of its sessions at Blair Park and the Lehrman Neighborhood Community Garden, engaging in partnership with Orchard Downs Family and Graduate Housing and the Lehrman Neighborhood Action Committee to provide intentional outreach to underserved local and immigrant families in the adjacent neighborhoods. Video Spotlight Urbana by Harsh Pro is recommended in the amount of $1,125. Video Spotlight Urbana is a video series that showcases local Urbana artists and musicians through filmed interviews and live concert performances. Video Spotlight Urbana will highlight local music venues and showcase the unique vibrancy of the city of Urbana's music scene. It will be premiered at a public event in downtown Urbana and then air regularly on UPTV and online. That is your Tier 2. Tier 3 is so short. We are funding one project that we're very excited about. This is Visiting Artists at Urbana High School featuring Lisa Kessler. City sponsorship recommendation is $3,000. As an Urbana High School visiting artist, local multimedia artist and printmaker Lisa Kessler will collaborate with Urbana High School art teacher Roberta Westerman to lead a printmaking project with 2 classroom groups of students. The project will last for a total of 3 weeks and include a special presentation to the AP art class and mentorship of art students. That brings us to the end. Do you have
All right.
questions?
I think we've got a lot more culturally diverse projects than we ever have had before, which is good. Anybody have any other comments? That's it? Yeah, go ahead.
I guess the other impressive thing about the diversity is the art forms.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
always have had
definitely.
that, but I just want to make a note. I just want to say that's good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things truly about our program, and
Okay.
I reiterate it at every grant workshop I give. One of the things I think I've even said in here before is that as a grantor, you get asked over and over again, like, what types of things do you fund? And I love that I literally have no answer for that. Like, we fund such a diversity of things, and I love that what the jury's presented you here reflects that commitment of making sure that what we fund really spans creative sector, but also who is specifically getting outreach to in different projects. There's a lot of that I think speaks to a broad range of need in the city of Urbana around the arts.
Okay. Well, thank you. Does anybody have any announcements they want to make before we come to a close?
I guess I'll just say I will be stepping aside. I love this I love this committee, but I have acquired a Tuesday at 4 obligation at the university. And I, well, yeah, it's the neuroscience seminars, and I'm starting to work in that area, so I need to go.
Well, it's been great having you here. We appreciate all the time and effort.
So
You will be missed.
as for those who may not know, Eric also serves as sort of the council person on our commission, so we will have a different appointed council person coming to fill that particular seat at the next meeting, is the
Okay,
hope.
good. Okay. I move then that we adjourn. Can I have a second? Okay.
Oh, well, second.